The music news for the streets, the music news for your beats, the news for the music stuff that you gonna need. We gon' talk about plugins, we gon' talk about gear. If it's news on this music, we gon' talk about it here. Let's go.
Welcome to the music news for the streets. I'm your anchorman, Something. Hit the keys. And in today's newscast, we have all kinds of exciting stories, from a bunch of new plugins to nuclear hip hop beef. But our top story today comes from Native Instruments. Earlier this week, Native Instruments dropped the second edition of Glaze, so Glaze 2 for Contact 7. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the story. So as you guys see here, Glaze 2 is a next-gen vocal instrument. It's good for pop, hip-hop, trap, R&B, everything like that when it comes to vocal vox. It's got some good pads and some good sounds in there. I actually did a full review of this earlier this week, so I'm not going to go into super detail on this instrument. I'll play a few of the presets and let you check it out, but I will leave that video linked in the corner so you can check that out if you want to. But as you see here, they've got some new additions like chord progressions at the touch of a key. They've made a few changes to the actual interface or the GUI. I have seen some complaints online about they wish that they would have just made a brand new tool, but I'm perfectly fine with them making a new version of Glaze 2 with 150 presets, especially if it's only $49 right now. I mean, what do we expect for $49? You know what I'm saying? And Glaze was one of their best-selling plugins, so if it's one of their best-selling libraries, they're probably going to make a second edition, you know, because so many people like that one. They're going to go with the same characteristics in the next library that people liked in the previous one. All right, so when we open up Glaze 2, it is going to look like this inside of Contact. This thing is pretty cool because, like I said earlier, it's going to have like vocal voxes. It's going to have some basses. It's going to have some basically one-shots, all that good stuff. But here's one of the presets. So that's a pretty fire preset right there, but it's got just a bunch of good stuff. As we click here, you'll see that you've got sequence, you've got one shots, you've got FX, plucks, bass, pads, synths, leads, keys, chords, runs, and riffs. The runs and riffs are obviously going to be fire because these are going to be like a lot of the vocals and stuff like that in there. So here is one of them. So as you see, those are some of the vocal runs that you're going to get. I'll let you hear just a couple more of them because, again, I did do a full review on this, but they are pretty fire. And then it's just going to have fire sounds in here too. Like you get some good sequence stuff in here. So I'm just going to pick one of these at random. Which is pretty solid. Then you come over here and you can mess with the sequence and you can actually change the way that that sequence hits. So like, let's say I want to pitch this down. So now you're going to hear some deeper frequencies in here. So you hear how that changes it up, and then we can just add some more notes in here if we want to, just to change it up real quick, and it's going to sound like. So pretty solid little Contact library. I'm not even going to hold y'all. I really like this one a lot, no cap. I would recommend checking it out. I'll leave it linked below in the description along with the video too as well. In breaking news. All right, guys, so it looks like Friday was an absolute nuclear war zone for this beef between Kendrick and Drake, as Kendrick starts off the day dropping, what was it, 6:16 in Compton, like 7 o'clock in the morning. I woke up to that. And then later on in the evening, Drake ends up dropping Family Matters, and then Kendrick responds a half hour later with Meet the Grams. So we got 3 diss tracks in one day. What makes this so crazy though is that I was absolutely knocked out when both of the second 2 diss tracks came up. So today's news report's going to be a little bit different because I didn't get the prep properly because I got blown up, man. I went to sleep probably about 10 o'clock on Friday. And my phone is blowing up at 1 o'clock. Like I've got like 50 text messages. It's just nonstop ringing. So I reach over, grab my phone, Look at it, it's one of my homies. Keep in mind, I'm old, I'm 43, so don't nobody call me at like, 1 o'clock in the morning no more, you know? So I look down at my phone and he's like, dude, pick up. I'm looking at the text messages, so I'm answering. I'm like, dude, what the fuck do you want? Excuse my language. And he's like, bro, why haven't you text me about this Drake and Kendrick? And I'm like, I messaged you earlier about Kendrick. And he goes, no, Drake dissed him and whatever. So I get up. Now it's like 1:30 in the morning and I'm listening to these diss tracks. And so typically I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to shoot these videos. So it kind of threw me all off. So I'm listening and I'm listening and I'm listening and I'm like, I'm kind of exhausted with these two because I'm kind of more exhausted with the fan bases than I am with the actual beef in between Drake and Kendrick. Because here's where I stand. When it comes to this beef, I rock with both the artists. I listen to Kendrick, I listen to Drake. I am more of in the middle than most people, pause. Because like, think about it like this. I moved a 3-bedroom house, drove 7 hours and paid hundreds of dollars to go see Kendrick once. You know what I'm saying? So all this time, effort, I bought Kendrick's merch, CDs, so on and so forth. I've never bought a Drake CD, never purchased an MP3, never purchased any OVO gear, never purchased anything OVO Drake related, right? So when you're looking at it, you would probably say I support Kendrick more when ultimately I rock with both of them. So I'm trying to be here kind of in the middle. What I don't want to do anymore is I don't want to necessarily do like these breakdowns of the beef and all that stuff because I kind of feel like I'm getting TMZ-ish. And so I don't want to do that. Kind of feel nasty when I get done talking about Drake and Kendrick and stuff. But I do want to speak on a few things that I think is super nasty work in this whole beef. And it's more so aimed at like the followers and the people who follow Drake and the people that follow Kendrick. Because y'all are beefing with each other and it's wild. So it's like, I think it's crazy that Kendrick's fans are mad that Drake is dropping music that girls could twerk to, because that's what kind of music that Drake makes. And then in return, Kendrick's dropping this like melancholy, like chill, mellow music. So it's not like he's dropping traditional diss tracks too as well. So it's like, I feel like y'all got to stop like telling these dudes how they got to make diss tracks because that's not going to work. Like we want to see this beef, but if you thought that the beef was going to be lyricist versus lyricist, well, then you're wrong because Drake's not a lyricist. Drake makes hits. Kendrick makes, you know what I'm saying, deep songs. He's a super lyricist, so on and so forth. So it's not like we can compare this rap battle by breaking down who's the doper lyricist because we already had that answer before this battle went on. You know what I'm saying? So really what we're doing is we're looking at art versus hits. You know what I'm saying? And then like the whole battle's nasty because it's like, I remember when Drake dropped the first diss track, y'all were like mad that he was singing at the end, talking about, I'm just trying to keep it PG or whatever, right? Okay, that's cool. Kendrick fans are talking trash about Drake singing, but then Kendrick comes back and he's harmonizing on tracks. He's talking in weird alien voices, because obviously Kendrick does that and that's cool. But if it's okay what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if it's okay for Kendrick to be harmonizing and using different alien voices and doing all this other stuff, it's okay for Drake to sing on these diss tracks. As much as I never thought I would say it's okay for somebody to sing on a diss track, because I'm an old school battle rapper. What's good for the geese is good for the gander. So I think that's jacked up. I feel like Drake kind of gets a lot of slack. So like when Drake does something, it's not okay, but when Kendrick does something, it's okay. So like when Drake was using AI in this battle, everybody's like, oh, that's not okay. But Kendrick's used AI in songs in the past, and it was creative art. Or you can't use Tupac to weaponize against, Kendrick Lamar. He's not even alive anymore. So why is it fair for you to use his voice in your diss track against Kendrick? Blah, blah, blah. But Kendrick goes and gets a sample beat from Al Green. How is it fair for you to be able to freaking weaponize a beat from Al Green against Drake? Al Green dead too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's the same thing. I get it's a little different, but it's the same thing. It's like the line moves. Every time Kendrick does something, the line moves. And I think that's crazy. I think that it's crazy that y'all let this dude get off that Drake can't say nigga no more. And y'all running with that shit like Drake mixed, right? So I'm 43 years old, right? Both my parents are black. I ain't never considered a mixed person not black because they go through the same struggle, the same plight to some degree. So what a lot of people don't realize is that black kids in the suburbs, they deal with so much more racism and so much other shit that kids in the hood don't deal with. So yeah, you're not necessarily worried about getting shot at, and you may not be worried about where your next meal is coming from, but you got to go to school every day and get called a nigger. And you're fighting all these kids. Trust me, I know. You're fighting all these kids every day. You're the only person getting in trouble. They're holding you out of gifted classes because you're fighting with kids, because these kids is calling you a nigga every day in school. You know, it's a struggle that you wouldn't understand if you didn't grow up in the suburbs. And I feel like a lot of times when people grow up in the hood, they don't ever see the plight of a brother in the suburbs, man. All they see is, oh, well, you were with the other people and stuff like that. But it's like, dude, my parents grew up in the projects. They didn't want me to grow up in the projects, so you can't be mad at me. And I feel like a lot of light-skinned and a lot of mixed kids get that put on them. Like, well, they're not black, but they go through the same struggle. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's jacked up. And then I get that it's not necessarily just aimed at it because Drake is half black. It's because of his way he moves and so on and so forth. But we're knocking Drake for collaborating with artists now. That's what we're doing. So the next up and coming artist, it's probably their dream feature to work with Drake, right? Probably their dream feature. But since Drake's working with them, oh, now he's a culture vulture, he's all this, blah, blah, blah. Why can't the dude just make music? He's literally just trying to make hits. Like, he didn't have to collaborate with that artist to get a #1 hit. Whatever song he was going to drop instead of that collaboration was going to be a #1 hit. So I think that that's jacked up. And then Kendrick's wife is mixed. You can't be talking about people, you know, people's parents or people being mixed when your kids are of a mixed woman, you know? That's jacked up. And then I think that it's jacked up that, you know, we're bringing up Drake having fellatio with underage women, which that's not okay. So I'm not defending that. In no means am I defending Drake having fellatio with underage women. If that's the case, he needs to go sit in prison and do all that time, right? But if you're Kendrick and you've been knowing that he's having fellatio with underage women and you've been okay with it, and the first time that you decided to say something is off of a way that you can profit and make some money, that's nasty work too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not this super righteous person that you're claiming to be if you've known all along that he's been messing with underage women. You've been okay with it. You've worked with them. You've done tours and all this other stuff. I just think that this whole situation's nasty. I don't like the way that the angle, I don't like how Drake came at Kendrick Lamar's wife. You know, they're supposed to be friends. And I was going to do a video about this earlier this week where I was like, the only way that this battle is going to get to the stage where we want it to get to is if these folks start saying nasty stuff about each other. And from there, it just grows from there. And ultimately, I didn't make that video, but that's where we're getting now. So in order for these two to give us the diss tracks that we want, they have to ruin their relationship for years, you know? And I don't know if I really want to see that. I just wanted to see a friendly competition, just some jabs, you know? I wanted to see the artistry versus the hits. You know what I'm saying? That's what I wanted to see. I didn't want to see all this, you know, speculation, all this weird stuff. Like, now it's not okay for a dude to have a bunch of girls. Like, I'm not that dude. So like, I'm not out here hollering at a bunch of chicks. But like, most of the dudes would, like, who are watching this battle, most of their life, they would have tried to been a ladies' man, right? So it's not okay for Drake to be a ladies' man now? I mean, that's what we're doing? You know what I'm saying? Like because he don't want to get married, he's less of a person? Or like, we're attacking his child, so we're telling these stories, we're talking to his kid. I just think that the shit's getting extra weird now. I don't like the angles that we're taking. I just think that these two are about to, this shit's about to get nasty, and I don't like the way that it's going. So I know I'm not going to be able to stop it. One last thing I wanted to say about this topic, though, is that there is too many men my age talking about Drake can't be using the internet in this battle, and the internet has nothing to do with it, all this shit. But y'all were the same ones going crazy when 50 Cent was all over the internet killing it in every single battle and beef he's had. So, you know, if you were cool with 50 doing it, you gotta let Drake do it too. So that's what I got on this. I know this probably isn't anything that y'all were expecting to hear on this topic. No, I'm not pro Drake. No, I'm not pro Kendrick. I'm pro good music. I'm pro good battle. That's what I signed up for. That's what I want to see. But I do think that it's crazy how many people hate Drake, and like I think it's crazy the difference in people, what they're saying about the people who are following Drake versus Kendrick. Like, if you like Drake's music, you fucking have no morals and all this other stuff. Like, dude, I think that's wild, because when we think about when we're listening to these people's music, so if you're at a barbecue, you're at a family picnic, what are you bumping? Drake. So all your black relatives and everything's around, and you know, y'all are listening to You Got It, flipping burgers, dancing, having the time of your life, right? You're not really bumping Kendrick at a family barbecue, but you're gonna bump Kendrick in your car when you're at home, so on and so forth. So both these artists have places, both these artists are part of the community, whether you guys want to acknowledge it or not. I guess we'll just see where they go from here. All right, guys, the next story that I have for you guys today comes from Reason. It looks like Reason 13 beta is now here. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the story. So as we see here, new in 13, let's go ahead and check out what they got new here. So now you can browse your own way. So it looks like you can start entering in stuff and you can browse, which all the DAWs are adding now. It's pretty solid. Everything's got a tag now. So it looks like you can tag all your sounds to find them easier. They've got a sequencer upgrade. So as you can see here, it's got a new looking GUI too as well. This looks a lot better than Reason did previously. That's for sure. Obviously, like they say here, it's got a new look. So, you know, new GUI, new sounds and stuff like that. So you get new kind of basses, chords, percussion, all that good stuff. A polytone dual layer synthesizer. So it's going to look like this. As you can see here, it's got a couple of oscillators on it. Filter, LFOs, all that good stuff. It looks pretty solid. Let's go ahead and take a listen to one of the examples. So I didn't mention this before. If you don't know what Reason is a DAW, a DAW. Looks like it's got a new delay here. It looks pretty solid. I like the way this GUI looks on that delay. And then it's got some new Reason tools. So it looks like there's a whole lot that they've got going on. Beta testers wanted. So as you guys can see this, you can send your information over or download it and you can get your beta tester on for Reason. See if it's something that you like. So it looks like we have another beta plugin up right now, Synthmaster 3. Let's take a look here at the story. So as you guys can see here, Synthmaster 3 beta is now available for 61% off. So until May 15th, you can grab this for $69. But this is basically the next edition of their Synthmaster plugin. I would assume that this is going to give us a Synthmaster 3 player too as well at some point in time. If you guys don't know, Synthmaster player, they often give away for free. And it's got like, I don't know, 200, 300, 400 different presets in there. They all sound pretty solid. It's like a free version of Nexus that you can use. With this, the Synthmaster 3, the new features in this thing, it looks like they have a new modular architecture. So you have it's backwards compatible with Synthmaster 1 and Synthmaster 2. So that's pretty solid. It's going to be able to load up all the other presets when you download this and then you open up your old projects. Pretty solid. Factory presets, it's going to come with 350 different factory presets. It's got an analog oscillator emulation, wave shaper effect, phaser filter, format filter, comb filter, oscillator unison, oscillator noise type, scalar, a noise LFO, separate ARP sequencers, ARP sequencer randomization, waveform editor, wavetable editor, multi-sampler editor. So it's going to come with a whole bunch. You can go check it out now. They are looking for, I think, beta testers for this too. So get a hold of them and see if you can't do some beta testing. All right, guys. And the last story that I have for you guys today is something that I covered this week too as well, but I just wanted to make sure I put it on the news report because it is definitely newsworthy. It looks like Arturia dropped a brand new augmented plugin called Augmented Yangtze. Still not sure how it's pronounced, but let's go ahead and check this thing out. So as we see here, it is going to look like this. Looks beautiful. Again, I did a review on this week, so I'm going to leave that card in the corner. You guys can check out that full thing if you want to. But this is basically 6 different Chinese instruments mixed with synthesis that gives you some pretty dope sounds. So as we're looking here at this, let's go ahead and take a look here at some of the sounds in this thing. I'm just going to scroll down real quick. So as we see here, it's going to have a erhu, a pipa, a gukin, a yangquin, a zhao, and a bass DZ. So it's going to have different flutes. It's going to have, the hammer dulcimer. It's going to have all that stuff in there for you. I'll push play so you can kind of hear what each one of these sound like. Bro, that's fire. So that's the pipa. Here's the gukin. We got the yangquin. We got the zhao. And then we got the bass dizzy. So ultimately, those are the instruments that they sample. But in this thing, they've got all kinds of presets where they blend them together, where they blend it with synthesis, they blend it with effects, they blend it with textures, all kinds of stuff, and you just get some fire sounds. Again, I did a preview of a whole bunch of the presets, so you can check that thing out too. But that's what I got for you guys in today's newscast. I know it was kind of a little bit different. I'm telling you, that battle jacked up my whole entire schedule for today. Because I woke up at like 1:30. I couldn't go back to sleep until like 5, and then I got back up at like 8, and it just messed up the prep for this video. So I'll have another news report on Monday where I go over some freebies and stuff like that. I just didn't have the time to prep all that because I was busy dealing with Kendrick and Drake. So make sure if you guys do like this content though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe to that notification bell so every time we bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see. Signing off as your anchor man, something, hit the keys. Until next time, peace.
Some, hit the keys.